Hello everyone. In today's video, I'd like to show you how to import a table from Excel into Access. First, this is my database, which is Access, and it is opened. The next thing you need to do is to locate your Excel workbook. So I do have my Excel workbook, which is on my desktop. So I'm just going to click on it. So here is my Excel workbook. So it is important to know the Excel workbook you want to take a table from. So here in this Excel workbook, I have two spreadsheets. One is green pack, and I can see the table inside this spreadsheet. The next spreadsheet that I have is called participants 2, and I can see what the table looks like. So this gives me an idea. When I get into my Access database, I'll be able to identify the table that I want to import. Knowing the name of the spreadsheets in this workbook is also important. Now that I have seen this, I'm just going to go ahead and close this Excel workbook. Take note that the workbook name is Athletes. Now let's go into Access. I want to show you how to import a table from Excel workbook into your Access database. Firstly, you have identified your data source. Now, you go to the external data. Click on that tab, external data. There are two groups here. One is the import and link. The other is export. We will be working here, import and link. You'll see new data source. Click the more arrow there. Now you'll see different options. The first one is new data source from file, and you'll see the different sources where you can get table from. There is Excel, there is HTML document, there is XML file, there is test file. These are places you can import table from. Then the second option there is from a database. You can import a table from another Access database. You can import a table from SQL Server, from Azure database, and the base file. And these are different sources where you can get a table from into your Access database. Now for this example, we'll want to import a table from Excel workbook. So I'll go back to the first option, which is from file, and I'm going to choose the Excel. Now, once clicked, this dialog box would come out, which is Get External Data. Here, you need to browse and find the name of the file that you want to import a table from or data from. So I click there, the open dialog box comes out, go to the navigation pane, click on Desktop. On the desktop is where the data source is. So that is it. I'll click on it and click Open. There are different options as to how you can import your data. Now, the first option is import the source data into a new table in the current database. And that's what we want to do. We want to import a spreadsheet from Excel workbook into Access as a table or as a new table. So that is the option. And by default, you see it's selected. Now, the second option is append a copy of the records to the table. Now, if I put a tick here, you can make selections. You see on this database, there are two tables here. I can import a table and add the records into that table. But you see, we don't have exact field names created in this database for this particular importation. So this is not correct. We cannot use it. The first option is what we want to do. We want to import a fresh new table into Access. So we'll go back to that first option and click OK. Your spreadsheet file contains more than one worksheet or range. Which spreadsheet or worksheet or range would you like? Now, this is important, which is why you needed to look at your workbook or look at your data source to know what it looks like and know the name of the spreadsheet that you want to import. All right, now these are the list of spreadsheets in the workbook that I have chosen to import data from. Now, there are two options there. It says show worksheets. You can see that's why the worksheets are being shown. Then the second one is show name range. So in the workbook from Excel. There is no name range there. So the first option is what it should be. We want to import the spreadsheet called participants 2. Now, if I click on each of those worksheets, you will see the preview as to what it looks like, which is why it is also important to open the worksheet, click on each of those worksheets, see what the table looks like so that when you get to this point, you know the exact table that you want to import. Now, if I click on the green pack, that's what it looks like. I click on participant 2, this is what it looks like. So we'll be choosing participant 2 worksheets as identified here. Now click on next. So this box simply means first row contains column headings. Now, if you had looked at your data source, you would notice that the first row actually contains the field headings. This is correct. Sometimes there wouldn't be a tick here, but automatically it picked it up that the first row of the spreadsheet we are importing contains column headings. So if you find that your importation has no tick there, put a tick there. Now it depends what you're importing. If you had studied your workbook and know that the spreadsheet, that the first row is column headings, then it is important to put a tick there. But if the first row is not column headings, then you need to leave this blank. Now from the table that I'm importing, the first row actually is the column heading, so I put a tick there. Access have selected that first row to become the column headings for our new table in Access. So I'll go to next. Field options, do not pay much attention here because you can always go to the design view to change your table structure. However, what this simply means is, you see the field name simply means here column headings, there's a name there, and data type, you can adjust all that here, but you can always do that in your design view. So I'm going to go ahead with next. So there are 3 options here. Most times your tables would normally have a column that should be used as a primary key. So when you're importing a table into Access, this option would normally come out. The first option here is let Access add primary key. The second one is choose my own primary key. Now, if you put a tick here, it means you're going to come to this point, click the more arrow. From the column headings, you will select which should be your primary key. Now, the third option is no primary key. So I would always say that you should choose no primary key if you're importing a table, because you would normally go back to your design view to adjust your table structure. So I'm going to choose no primary key. Now click next. Import to table. This is the name of the table, so just leave it as it is. You can always make your changes inside your Access database. Now this option says I would like a wizard to analyze my table after importing. So just let it be as it is and click finish. Now the last option here says save import steps. Do you want to save these import steps? Because I know what I'm doing, so there's no need to save my import steps. So I'm going to leave it as it is and click close. Now, if you look here, this is the navigation pane of my Access database. Now we have a third table there called participants 2. So let's open this table. Now, this is the table we have imported. All right, just exactly as it is in the Excel workbook. So I'm just going to minimize this. Now go to my Excel workbook where I imported a table from. Now this is me just making sure that what I have imported is correct. Now this is the table called participant 2, and here is the column headings, and that is it. Now if I go back to my Excel database, you will see the field names are exactly the same thing, and the data inside of it is the same thing. Now this is me checking the integrity of the table that I have imported. Now when you import your table, it's important to adjust the column width. Now if you look on that particular name column, all right, or this called field name, here it is called a field name. You will see here that the names are not properly showing, so you need to adjust your columns so that the text are clearly showing. So I'm going to hover my mouse to that point and when it changes to that double-edged arrow, I will double click on it. Now everything here is showing clearly. The field name gender is okay. I can still auto fit that. You see that how it looks like. In the field name date of birth, I might want to auto fit. So I can just auto fit. It's important to just auto fit all your columns just to be sure that everything is properly adjusted. Okay, so over here, I will just auto fit the date of registration so that the field name is clearly showing. So I'll position that, auto fit that. Now the reason is so that date of registration of vehicle would show clearly. Now your field names must show clearly, and the content of that field name must also show clearly. So I'm just going to scroll further downward. So this is now properly formatted. And this brings us to the end of how to import a table from Excel into your Access database. I hope this video helps you. For more tech tips like this, consider liking and sharing this video to others. I'll see you in the next video.